John has invented a peptide structure which is anti-inflammatory and cytoprotective. It protects against cell death. And we're taking it into inflammatory skin disorders, inflammatory bowel disease, and sepsis, all of which are very large markets with unmet medical needs.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for another executive interview. Today I'm joined by Jay Hennock, the CEO of Novapep, a pioneering biotech company that is revolutionizing the treatment landscape for inflammatory diseases. And Jay will shed light on the innovative solutions and ambitious vision. Thank you for joining me, Jay.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, to kick things off for our audience, could you give an overview of Novapep's mission and the innovative solutions that you are developing to address the unmet medical needs in inflammatory diseases?
Yes, well, Novapep was founded by John Griffin, who's a professor at the Scripps Research Institute, which is the top-ranked molecular biology research institute in the world, and Professor Chris Jackson at Sydney University and myself. And the three of us were involved in a previous biotech which we exited. So John has invented a peptide structure which is anti-inflammatory and cytoprotective. It protects against cell death. And we're taking it into inflammatory skin disorders, inflammatory bowel disease, and sepsis, all of which are very large markets with unmet medical needs.
Amazing. Now, given the competitive landscape in biotech, what sets Novapep apart from other companies in terms of, let's say, your technology, scalability, and your ability to deliver cost-effective solutions?
No, good question. Firstly, I should say that peptide development, there's a recent article in Nature saying it is one of the hottest areas of drug development in the world today. So when you think about Wegovy, Ozempic, they're all peptide drugs. Anything ending in IDE is a peptide drug. And so 30 years ago, there was literally no peptide drug development. Today, it's very hot. And one of the reasons is that it is replacing biologic drugs, which are massively more expensive to manufacture. It's what's called a cell expression manufacturing process. Peptides can be synthesized. So there's a big focus on peptides. We are, as I say, fortunate to have licensed from the Scripps Research Institute the work that John and his colleagues have done in 10 years of peptide development. And we have done animal studies in IBD showing that our peptide, it's called Biparetide, is as effective as the biologic drugs, which are the gold standards, and they're probably an order of magnitude cheaper to make. So the lead for our IBD program is a guy called Silvio Danesi, who's based in Milan. He's the chairman of the International Clinical Trials Committee for IBD. So he's a gastroenterologist as well as a research scientist. Said he's never seen data like it. So we're very fortunate in where we are in IBD. We've shown that it is far more effective than corticosteroids in atopic dermatitis. And in sepsis, we have some recent study data showing that just with one dose of Biparetide, it increased the survival in mice from 31 to 56% in a sepsis survival model. So we've got 3 very exciting programs, and we are progressing discussions with pharma in each of those indications.
Amazing. That's brilliant, Jay. Yeah, now, with Novapep's focus on sizable markets with unmet medical needs, can you tell us how do you envision capturing significant market share, and what strategies do you have in place to penetrate these markets effectively?
Yeah, well, there's really, our focus is partnering with big pharma early on. There are companies that spend an enormous amount of money and an enormous amount of time taking a drug through to a phase 3 and registration. I mean, the average is $1 billion and 10 years to take a drug from discovery to what they call the bedside. So our focus is to partner with pharma early on. A lot of pharma prefer that because they can drive the direction of the development and so on. So the flip side of that is that we wouldn't make as much money, potentially, as if we took it all the way through, but we're massively de-risking it. And it's actually the way pharma prefer to work.
Amazing. Very innovative approach you have, for sure. Now, biotech investments inherently carry risks. So how does Novapep mitigate these risks, particularly in terms of regulatory hurdles, clinical trial outcomes, and market acceptance of novel therapies?
Well, we have a terrific team in place. Certainly our research scientists, John Griffin, Silvio Danese, Yogesh Lankadeva down at the Florey with sepsis, who's ranked in the top 0.808% of sepsis researchers globally. They've basically all taken drugs to market. So you've got research scientists there. We have the clinicians in place to run the clinical trials. We have a regulatory advisory group. This is personally my fourth biotech. So I've been down the road of what I call an FDA IND and what's involved there, which is not trivial, but we're all experienced. There's an experienced scientific, clinical, and management team in place. And on the management team side, we're fortunate to have Megan Walsh, who's recently joined us. Megan was the regional medical director for Novartis for Asia-Pac, Middle East and Africa, and immunology. So she's a well-recognized researcher who then went into pharma. So she was with Novartis for 10 years, and she's recently joined us. So we think we've got a very well-rounded team, but fundamentally, to your point about de-risking, it's partnering with pharma early. So this is the final raise that we're doing before we do a Series A. We're already in discussions with institutional investors, but we're really focused on the partnering discussions that we're having at the moment. Silvio's leading them on IBD, Yogesh on sepsis, and we have another group that it's sort of still under NDA, who are working with us on atopic dermatitis. So we've got a very interesting drug which will be first in class, and it's patent protected out to 2039, and we are working on the 5-year patent extension capabilities in each of the diseases that we're pursuing. So it's we think we've got all the bases covered.
Amazing. Now, as a parting question, Jay, what is the long-term vision for Novapep, and how do you envision the company's role in shaping the future of biotech and addressing unmet medical needs on a global scale?
Yes, well, I think in IBD, it's a $22 billion drug market. We think we can capture probably at least 10% of that. We'd completely displace corticosteroids, and we would get a part of the biologics market as well. So we're talking pretty significant sales there. Atopic dermatitis, it's a smaller market, but we think it could be a $1 billion plus market there. And in sepsis, there is basically only antibiotics for the treatment of sepsis. 20% of people die of sepsis globally. Now, they may be dying of other things, but hospitalized patients, 20% of them die of sepsis. And we think we can significantly reduce that with this new first-in-class drug. So in terms of the corporate future of the company, we will IPO, we think, within probably a 2 to 3 year period. But we're already fielding approaches on acquiring the company, but we think that there is a lot more growth. We are going to drive the growth of that company over the next 2 to 3 years, and we'll see what the future holds.
Amazing, very exciting indeed.
It is. Thank you.
Now, as we conclude this insightful conversation with Novapep, it is very clear that their dedication to innovation and patient-centric solutions is driving them towards a promising future. So for anyone who is interested in getting in touch with the team at Novapep, please see the details at the side of your screen or in the description of this video. Once again, thank you, Jay, for joining me for this interview and sharing wonderful insights about the work you and your team are doing.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.